Good evening and welcome to Mustad Live on this glorious Friday evening. Well, actually it's not Friday evening, it's actually Friday morning, because for the first time in my history of these Mustad Lives I've actually pre-recorded it, and there's three reasons why I've decided to pre-record it. Is that when you submit your questions, which hopefully there's going to be a lot of questions, I'm going to be there on live to answer the questions. The second reason is that I want to show you as much as I can today on how I assess and shoe horses. So I want to show you the start of the process and the end process, and there's the key elements in between, so then we can fast forward certain parts so that you can learn more. So we're going to shoe two horses, and that's the most important thing, is a learning process. So that's the third reason, is we can manage to do more in a shorter period of time. So we're actually going to turn up to a yard in a minute, and I've got two horses to shoe. So there's two cases. I haven't shod these horses before, so I'm going to let you into my thought process of how I'm going to approach shoeing these horses, from the way that I trim and what I look for, my shoe selection, the fitting process, and then nail and finishing and look at it. And it's really important as a farrier, the most important part to learn is when you return to shoe that horse. So when you return to shoe that horse, it's very easy to get involved with, I'd do this, I'd do that, and you know, we're professional farriers, so let's keep everything professional. It doesn't matter who previously shod the horse, it doesn't matter whether I agree with the process or not. When I look at my own shoeing, I look at it from a point of improving. So if I go back to it and the foot's overgrown the shoe, then obviously I've shod that foot too tight, or the shoeing period's been too long. So these horses have only actually been shod 4 weeks, so there's going to be a little bit of trimming to do, and it's really important that our job as farriers is we look after the feet. So it's not all about taking everything off, we have to look after that. So we're going to have a trimming protocol, so what we want to achieve with the trim, and then we're going to have a shoeing protocol of what we want to achieve with the shoeing. So it's pretty obvious that if the horse is long in the toe and low in the heel, then we have to address that, and we can do that in two ways. If there's not enough foot there to remove to naturally do that, then we can do it with the shoe by obviously the placement of the shoe. So that's the sort of thing I'm going to talk about when we get here in a minute, and stick to the basics, because horseshoeing is about basics. And I'm going to use a couple of different Mustad shoes, and I'm going to talk about why I pick one Mustad shoe in particular to another, and why I would choose toe clip or side clip, and so on. So we'll work through the process. So this is case number one that I'm going to look at. It's been shod 4 weeks. Like I say, it's not about the previous shoeing, it's about just shoeing it and sorting it out. If we just put it on there, it'd be great, Sean. So we'll have a quick look and try and share with you my thought process. But as a farrier, a lot of things you do is just automatic. You automatically decide how much foot to come off, and what the balance is like, obviously static and dynamically. Pop these off. So I'd say for 4 weeks it's coming over, its foot's migrated forward, it looks long in the toe, looks long in the heel. We can clearly see that when we look at the back of this foot from the back there, and we can look at the hoof passing access. And people always ask me about foot trimming, and am I a foot mapper? To a certain extent I am a foot mapper. I think every farrier is, because we use different reference points to trim. So we can already see straight away that the heels have started to collapse. So I think it's really important that we look at the heel shape, and the folding in. The bars are not straight anymore, and I would say this horse is low in the heel, it's longer in the toe. I'm not going to rape all this foot out. And then another key I'm looking at is with my rasp down the centre, it's got a slight medial flare here, and it's tight on this outside. So there's loads of different things we're going to look at. So the first thing I like to do is trim the frog, get the frog back to where it should be. I use this as a reference point. Whether you're using Duckett's dot, the centre rotation or not, like I say, I use so many different things to shoe, it's important. So this should look like the frog stay, so it's just trimming to replicate underneath, don't overdo it. And horseshoeing is a very personal thing. You could, depends on the individual, depends on the environment. So some people can watch now and say, oh, I'd take my frog off that. Well, of course you would, everyone's an individual. So I shoot for the environment and the terrain they're on. So now I'm just going to ease my sole, and I'm going to look at what foot I've got into that bar. Just tidy up there. So now the bars are trimmed back. They are pretty straight, but they're starting to collapse and bend. So I need to give this foot a little bit more support, but I don't need to add the added bonus of a bash or anything like that. It just wants good basic shoeing. So the actual vertical depth, there's two ways to trim feet. We can trim this down or we can take it back. When we look at its conformation from the side, it wants standing up. So I'm going to actually dress this foot back. So the first thing I'm going to do is simply, with my rasp, I'm going to bring this back. So at the angle that the rasp is at, it's marking the foot, it's bringing it back. And straight away, we're starting to see it's quite a good proportion now. And I can flip that onto my peg. And that's before I've even taken any vertical depth. I haven't taken any vertical depth yet, because once you take the vertical depth off, it's like a piece of wood, you can't put it back on. So I like to burn on, I like to shoot hot, so I want to leave a bit of vertical depth. So this is simple now. We've got our mark of where we edged it. We're just going to rasp that down to the edge. The question is flare dressing. Do I always flare dress? It depends. If they need it, I do. If they don't, I don't. So already going through my brain, I'm thinking of the best shoe for this foot. So because it's migrated forward, I actually think I'm going to put side clips on it, or quarter clips if you want to call it that. So now we can see the 2 feet. We've stood up a lot better now, and the horse has altered its stance straight away. And I haven't touched anything of the bottom. I haven't even flattened it. So long axis is pretty straightforward. I look at long axis, I look at solar plane. It's pretty even on the solar plane. I look at buttress height. And I'll just give it a little bit of a flatten. Trying to work as I would every day. You've got to get on with it, horses get bored. So I think I've got quite a good little shaped foot there. And then I have to decide what sort of shoe. So always straight away you have a shoe in your mind that you want to go with, and for me this is the shoe to go for. But the toe's the wrong shape, so we can see the toe's too tight, but we can easily alter that toe. It's, fitting's simple. You fit the toe, you fit the quarters, and you fit the heel quarters. So you try that on and you say, well, you could open it up and put it on, but we've got to fit this structure to get it right. I think that would be a better shoe. This, I could open this up and put this on, but because of how the foot's shown it migrating forward, I think the Equilibrium Air is a really good shoe, because it's putting this breakover into it. It's got the solid heels, which is good for the claps. And I'm a good shoemaker. I'd class myself as a good shoemaker, but I couldn't make this shoe this quality. So I'm going to use this shoe. So we'll chuck that in, and then while that's getting hot, I'll trim the next one and we'll get fitting it. It was pretty much fetlock down was all I looked at, but now I'm trying to look at the whole horse. I'm talking to the owners. I spend average an hour with a horse every 6 to 8 weeks, or a month if it's a racehorse, but the owners spend hours every day, so we need to speak to them and get their input of how the horse is going, how the horse feels. So you need a really good working relationship with the owner, the trainer and the vet. And don't be offended if someone says it's just not stood quite right, he doesn't look quite happy, because that's good. Let's let's fix stuff before it gets broken, as they say. So this foot actually is a lot better. This heel's not as low, it's not as collapsed on this foot, which is good. I'm just going to ease his sole, do his bars. Try to keep, you know, the job as a farrier is to retain the foot as well, not to murder it. So it needs a bit of natural protection. Quick check of long axis, like I say, doing this automatically. It's high outside on this side. I've also watched him walk up and he is, so I'm going to lower that. So I'm pretty old school. The bit that wants lowering, I'm going to lower. The bit that doesn't want touching, I'm not going to touch. You know, as farriers, we get obsessed with rasping that. It doesn't want rasping, so why rasp it? Again, edge it. To his natural shape. Then trail shoe on. Again, got to get this toe right. Once we get this toe, then it will be good for size. It looks too small at the moment, but it's the size, because we've got to fit the peg. On the peg again. Another thing I look at is the coronet and the line of the coronet. The coronet's nice and straight, that's good. If it would been shod too short over a period of time, the coronet would have dipped and run forward. The coronet's good, and I look at this first inch of hoof here. This first inch of hoof is the true natural shape. Below this, it deviates, it distorts, and we rasp it and we manipulate it. So this is my favourite rasp for shoeing and on the wall. Is the green tang. It's a simple way of putting it. So you see when I swapped round there, I rasped it. Before I swapped to the other side, I simply just did that, just rubbed it with my hand, and that stops it. I think that's good for stopping it clogging, because if you keep rasping, it's going to keep clogging, and then once you sharpen them, it's great. Okay, so I'm happy with him now, so we'll start fitting. Like I say, fit the toe, quarters and back. So now it's just remembering what you've got. So simple, just come wide up the horn, work each side, level it, look at it, I'm going to pop out here, bring my quarter in there, pop out here, quarter there. Now I'm just using my eye now, I haven't measured it, just train your eye. I think it's important as a farrier. Put my stick in it, and then I'm going to have a look. So the first thing I'm going to do when I start to fit is I'm going to naturally let his foot hang, so that if I force this foot, it doesn't matter what size you are, I'm quite a big guy, I could force this foot and twist it, and I go and put the shoe on now, it's twisted. So just let the foot naturally hang, try the shoe on, concentrate on a couple of elements, heels, toe, and now I start to feel the fit. So as I'm burning this foot, I haven't actually, I'm slightly, to exaggerate it, pushing the toe in and lifting the heel off. So now my toe's the right shape, now I can cut my clips. If my toe wasn't the right shape, I'd have to alter. Just inside the burn, real gentle. And again. So the whole idea of this shoe now is that I've trimmed this foot where I want, and this toe should be fitted to the toe. It shouldn't be slotted right back. That's the whole idea of equilibrium. So it's very much fitted to the toe. Just a little burn and have a look. So my toe half fits really good. Fits really good to here. wants a little tap in here, and this wants to bring in from here. So we'll do that. And then we're going to fast forward the process, and you'll meet me at the nailing stage. So let's have a final check on this first. My clip angle's slightly wrong on that outside, so I'm just going to grab this hammer. I can do this better when it's hot. Yeah, look it up. Now we've got to be careful because we don't want to be doing much more burning, but this shoe's seated, so I don't need to ease my sole. Give that a little tap. And now I'm happy with the fit of that now. So I've fit them both up, I've ground it where it needed it, polished my clips, chose my nail. That's a standard 5, so if you're not familiar with them, I'd use a concave because it sits a lot better in the groove, and it's called a concave, but it works really well in Libros and these airs. So I'm going to use the concave. So now I'm just going to, before I nail it, I'm just going to check my fit. Wire brush, probably one of the most underrated tools in your box. Shoe, nail and hammer, tap it into place, check down it for sprung heels. So check you're happy, check you're in the centre of the stock, and then the basics kind of stand out, that the frog's in the centre and these proportions are the same, and the toenails bifurcate at the centre of the heel. So that means that the toe width is 3 1/4, the centre of the heel's 3 1/4. So the load sharing at the front matches the load sharing at the back. It's all basics. I can't reiterate enough that horseshoe is basics. So if the shoe fits, you should nail on pretty easy. Bring it off. Nail choice, I'm not going to put the heel nails in. I think they're getting a bit far back in the shoe. So the whole purpose of a shoe is it has multiple nail holes you can pick from. Bring it off. That's good. Getting bored, aren't you? So, and nailing's a personal preference as well. The height of the nails. You know, I like them 2/3 of the way in a nice straight line, but I'm also not going to chase a nail. So this horse is leaning a little bit, so I've actually just moved his foot a bit lower so he's happier. So then once it's nailed on, then we can look round it and look. So I've left the heel nails out, 3's sufficient. It goes round it nice, around the inside. So we'll get that clenched up, and then you'll see the end job. Problem with doing Mustad Live is that I think horseshoeing for me is a 2-person job. It's great when there's 2 people. It spreads the workload, and it's a lot more efficient. Plus it's nice to train someone and see them progress. But my help is holding the camera, so I'm having to do jobs that you've probably never seen me do for a long time. So basics is that, so I've trimmed the foot, I fit the shoe to the foot, and now I'm just finishing it off. Simple as that. Feel my clip, it's on a little touch. You shouldn't make the foot fit the shoe, you just literally, you know, and some people would shoe this longer. You know, we have to also think that this is length and support, but too much is leverage. We can see this follows the foot around. It should follow the foot and follows the circumference of the coronet. And we always use a pro finish rasp to finish, and clenching should be as easy as that. You shouldn't have to take loads off. because you should trim it and fit it and finish it. Cool. But for me, this is your shop window. Every process, part of the process is important, but this you really need to show off nail and finish. Take pride in your work. This isn't a competition job, this is just everyday shoeing, and to be honest, the competition job is everyday shoeing. It's a continuation. I don't do anything different at a contest that I do every day at home. I just shoe the horse. Every horse gets some oil on when we're finished. So this is case number 1. Stood up a lot better, suits that shoeing protocol. We'll just have a little look at the fit underneath. You can see the centre of the stock. You know, people go on about stone traps. We don't want to be on the frog here. It's got to be clean, tidy, and fit the centre. Right, so that's us all finished. We're actually going to move round to the other side of the yard now, because the next horse is happy around there. So James is packing up. So it's got a nice bit of support. It's not over the top. So I know it'll still be stood on that next time I come back, because it's got a little bit of flat and a little bit of boxing, so 50-50, so it's got something to grow onto. And it resembles, the bottom of the foot resembles the coronet, we can see that, and we're trying to create those straight lines round what we want. And we just shod the fronts. The horse isn't in enough work at the moment, so we've just dressed the hinds. Right, let's move to the next one. So this is case number 2. This is Rocky. Again, he's pretty well conformed. He's got good conformation. He's got decent feet. Been shod 4 weeks. When I look at his feet, first initial is he looks high on the outside because of the way he's stood. There's a couple of ways you can assess that. There's long axis. There's also hanging his leg. So naturally hanging from his knee and look down, and he's got a little bit more angle on the outside of his foot than the inside. If you come around with the camera there, you'll see. And sometimes when we have these side clips on, they can change the shape of the foot. So looking at this horse, I'd say straight away a toe clip would be better, but we'll find it when we put them off. And again, I use the same process as last time. I pretty much stick to the same system, clean this out. Until we get the basics done, we can't really assess it. So we need to get these big flaps off here. Let it come off. I hate stuff like that. It just looks horrible. And that needs trimming. People are scared to trim them because they don't want to catch it or bleed it. I want to get a sharper knife. You know, sharp tools are really important. They make the job easy. So I have loads of different knives. I just swap. We've got a big frog here. We need to get this so we can figure out where we're going from there. So I won't move on until I've got that frog what I want. So now I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to get a knife and get a curved blade because he's got a bit of a curved sole. We've got a bit of depth this time. And we're going to look at the solar plane we're starting to look at now. So the solar plane is this angle of the sole as it comes up, so it scoops up more there, so it's higher outside. Toe for certain because of the solar plane. His bars are pretty good. He's got a pretty good foot. I think he's got a better shaped foot in there. So Takes 2 seconds to angle on axis and check his balance. That's easily done. I've got my hand right below it behind his carapace, his knee. I'm letting his leg naturally hang. If I do this straight away, it looks high inside. Got to let him naturally hang. So we'll snip that. And the cut is the most important trim, because if you don't get it flat with these, you've got no chance with a wrap. So I go trimming, I'm not a widest part, I'm a highest widest part of the frog. So the highest widest part, which is here, that's where I'm going to take the heels. And then his quarters have come late, I'm going to move them forward. That's not his natural shape of his foot. I'll explain that in a sec. So start working across the foot. And then start to shape it. So round here, if you look at this, look at his white line and look at his wall, he's got these late hooky quarters there that want to come off. You need to push them quarters forward so that he's weight bearing properly. So look at the shape of his coronet and look at the shape of the bottom of his foot. So this shape wants altering to match his coronet. Like I was saying, you can make this foot go any shape you want. His first inch is telling us. So I'm going to work behind the quarter. And there's multiple reasons why that's gone like that. It could be the quarter clips has pushed the weight bearing further back. Predominantly it's the foot shape. The shoe shape. The foot is gonna grow to that shape of that shoe. So we've moved around the other side of the yard. It's a bit darker in here, but the horse is happy, and that's important. We keep horses happy. So now I've got his foot shape, his natural foot shape. It's not an easy shape to fit, it's a bit of a pear shape, but that's the shape of his foot, so we're going to shoe that shape. That's the shape of it. It's like I say, it's got to come off the toe, out and on. It's a good one because it's not easy, so just ease the sole a little bit there. And then we have to put shoe choice. So I'm going to go with Libero, 25 by 8. He's got enough wall there, so I don't want to go 10, I don't want to go too heavy, so I need to fit this shape. So the simple fact is this doesn't resemble that at all. The quarters are earlier, the toe's broad, so we need to alter the toe, hit the quarters and bring the heels on. So that shoe will do it. If you're confused, you turn it over and try it the other way. But this shoe will end up, you can simply try it, it's going to go there, it's going to go there. So this is the shoe. So I'm not going to put that in the fire just yet, because otherwise I know you've got a lot of trimming to do. So that shoe's going to get scaly. Got loads of foot on, the clenches were up, so you didn't have to knock them because they're already up. And now it's just the same system. Get the loose out. A sharp loop knife to get these off. Now it's interesting that what happens with horseshoeing is we all have bad habits or things that we do. Of course we do, everyone does. And it's very common that you get reoccurring problems. So this foot, like the last horse we did, again is high laterally, low this side, and that's because the foot's being pushed out like this to trim it. It looks high, so we have to watch that, and I have to be careful of that as well because I'm nearly 6 foot. So my old boss would say it was this farrier was right-handed. He's stronger with his right hand, so he lowers this side. So the solar plane on this foot's really good to see. So I'm using that as a reference. I'm also using foot mapping, but the solar plane, we can clearly see that there's more depth of wall here than here, so it's got to be high there and low there. That's backed up by medial long axis balance. It's also backed up by buttress height. So before I make a decision, I look at that. It was also backed up by dynamic balance when I walked it from the stable. So cutters, half a step waggle, half a step waggle. So I've trimmed from here to here like a spiral, because there's two things about trimming. There's the right plane, so there's the plane of the foot is flat, perpendicular to the ground and the limb, and there's flatness. Don't get confused with two different. You could have it flat, but it could be level like this. So then once I go to put this in on the stand, we're going to go get the fire going, and we're going to alter the toe shapes. And it doesn't matter if it takes me a couple of heats, I'm not going to fit that foot until I get that toe right, because if I don't get the projection and the curve of the toe, I'm not going to get any of the rest. So again, I haven't touched that because it's low there. It doesn't matter that it's slightly further forward, because I'm going to shoe it with a symmetry. So I can't achieve any more in the trim, so we do it with a shoe. So again's the same, 2 bold in the toe, so alter your toe and job's a good one. So we'll put that in the fire, and while it's getting hot, we'll keep flare dressing. I know, I need to fix it. So now again, I've got my mark, so I'm basically just rasping to my mark. And like I say, next time I shoe this horse, which I think 6 weeks will be sufficient, I won't need to flare dress this, because I think once I've got my wall straight and I've got the foot where I need it, will encourage it to grow in that direction. Will encourage vertical depth rather than flares. Don't want to lock around this inside, because that wall was slightly more upright. And I'm looking, it wants a bit more outside. I'm going to check it, and actually I'm going to leave it because it's easier to fit to that than do too much. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with my quarters, they're balanced. So I know where I'm going to go. Some people could take more foot off. You could, I've slightly rounded this dorsal wall, you could dress that vertically straight, but for me horseshoeing is a gradual thing. We're going to do that over time, not all in one go. So the shoe won't be hot yet, so we'll keep working. He's going to be barefoot behind, so I'm going to talk through a little bit about barefoot trimming, and hopefully one of my colleagues, or I'll do it, we'll do a video about shoeing the hind leg. We're just doing the front today. So I look at this foot and straight away I can tell that his wear is pretty much equal in the growth, because he's got a nice flatness of wall. There's not a lot of vertical depth there, which is good. A little bit of a medial flaring, probably because he's been walking on the outside a little bit, and he's got a little bit of frog. But I think it's our job is to protect this and look after this, because this horse wants to work barefoot. 60% of the weight bearing on the front, so if this horse can cope barefoot behind, and in the current economic coronavirus climate, it's not a bad thing. So today we're just going to trim these back. So I'm just going to tidy this up and this bit of a frushy frog. But the worst thing I could do is overdo it, because then the horse will go sore and it won't cope barefoot. So that's not my job. My job is to maintain what we've got. So as soon as I've done that frog, I'm happy with that. I'll discuss with the owner about treating it a little bit. I'm just going to check my seat of corns. It's an area, common area of infection. Straighten my bars. And I'm not actually going to take any vertical depth off it. I'm just going to put it on the peg and I'm going to bevel it and bring it back. But I'd say for the terrain it's not chipped, so the bevel it had last time was sufficient. If it was chipped more, then I would put more bevel. I'm happy with the border bevel that the previous farrier did. So just simply with my rasp, hit the edge. That creates a 45. Come round the 45, and then I put it on at the bottom. So I'm just altering the angle of the rasp and bringing it round. And a barefoot trim for me, so just what it says on the tin, the foot should have enough foot there. You shouldn't be rasping all the way up. It should look like a natural barefoot trim. So for me, I'm not going to take all this wall off because it doesn't want that off. That's just going to weaken the structure. Yeah, look at it. And I'm looking down the foot from the coronet shape, and that's it. I've put my structure back where I want it. I'm not going to do any more. It'll get oiled up and it'll look like $1 million. And that's kept me working. My shoe's still getting hot. It's perfect. So even a barefoot trim, everything gets the same treatment. So now we'll get fit up now. So we've got the toe shape, push it on, quarters there. Then push it on. Now I look at it and I know the inside comes on a bit more, so I'm going to bring that on. Didn't look like I did a lot, but if I show you what I had, it didn't look like I did a lot, because that's the key, is to be gentle. I can see my toe now, I've tightened my toe, so I have actually done a fair bit, and I'll be happy with that. Let's put that one back in. We'll go and have a look. Again, if the toe doesn't fit, I'll just alter it. Okay. And then, so, again, it's just the same as I did with the other horse. I'm just going to let the foot naturally hang, and I'm going to line my shoe up with the point of frog. And straight away I know that my toe's slightly walk broad. So before I burn on, the good Richard Ellis taught me, if you keep burning, you'll change the shape. So let's alter that, and then we'll be there. Sorry, James. I think farriers are getting the hang of me now. I run about. That should be the better shape now. Simplify it down. Come on, Rocky. There's a good boy. I'm happy with it now, so I can start to burn it and I can cut my clip. Other good trick is the back of the burn of the nail holes. It's right on the white line. That's good, so it tells me that I've fitted the white line properly. It's a little tap there. Any tricks, you don't have to do a bit of walking. And now I look at it, it's pretty good. I'm going to clean my stone trap out on the inside to bring this back proportion, and I'm going to give it a little grind, and I've fit my foot and I look at the back, and like I said, because the inside was lower, the inside's migrated forward, so we need to give that a bit more support. So, but my stone trap here is really good. That's in the centre of the stock, that's in the centre of the stock, and then I can grind that to fit. So now the second foot's easier to fit because you pretty much, you've learned from your mistakes with the first.
All right.
Both up now, and then the best time now is to grind is I can grind now. So I want to alter this stone trap a little bit because too much weight bearing past that is going to put more pressure on the heel. So I'm going to alter that first on the grinder, simply in there. That's better. The outside I can see is pretty good, so standard there. Inside wants a bit more, standard, and then so what I've done is the inside I've actually ground it a little bit of a less steep angle, so I'm going to, it's took the edge off so it can't catch it, but it's also, it's left it a bit of support, whereas this side's a bit more upright, so because it doesn't need as much support. Now I've drilled these shoes for some little tungsten pins. I do this at home, put them in. These just give it a little bit more traction. So I need to pick a nail. An array of nails in here, and I like it because I can simply have a look and pick. So I'm going to go with the concave again. That's on my box. So let's go and have a look at the foot shape and get them nailed on then. So this horse, I would say, is a classic case of a horse that's had side clips on for a long time. His foot has actually started to go tighter because the clips have been restricting the growth on the sides. That's why I decided to put the toe clip on. So I line up and I simply check round. You feel the fit. It's in the centre. Fits good. The heel checks better now. And I have a look down it. Do the same with the other. And then we'll get them tapped on. Again with this one. That first one, a touch wide, wants a little box off, so it's going to take me 2 seconds to do that, whereas this one, I'm very happy with this one. It fits the proportions, so what I'll do is I'll tap this one on, and while I go and grind the other one, James will do a bit of a flyby round for you. So this is a better nail choice. You can see when I was trying outside, you weren't really going through it. All the time you can see I'm checking with the hands all the time where the fit is. I'm just, you know, if the shoe fits, it should nail on pretty easy. And again, it's personal preference. The walls the same thickness all the way up, top to bottom, so why purchase a nail and only use half of it? You might as well nail it on properly, then next time I can reuse them. And you're probably all thinking it's still going. It's had a new welded the claw at the face on it and the head's been glued, but it's still intact. And now from where you are, you can see that it fits more the foot now. I've altered the shape of the quarters. And it's not about what was on there. It's about, like I say, it's not criticising that, but we can see we've moved these quarters further forward. So that's going to help that foot cope with the load then. Put a wider 25 but thinner section on, which is better. It's not too heavy. Right, I'll go and grind this. And we'll tap on and finish up my favourite bit. So it's going to take very little clenching. I've pretty much fit my trim. I'll tap this one on the same. Better now. Nearly there, but there's not quite out. I want a decent clench, and that's why I like these nails. See, get a good clench in. Another nail that works well in this shoe is a ESL pitch. Really good fit as well. But because I've chose the 8mm, the concave head fits in there nice. So this inside one, I haven't fully come out, so I'm just gonna, little trick, pull it like this, put your edge of your claw right on it, and one motion, then little tip on the tip there, and back in. And that's nice where I want it. And we feel and look round it, it's in the centre. Portions again, the basics that we speak about, centre of the heel, so you can see now why I altered that stone trap, because that's the centre of the heel. I'm just doing this for the purpose of it, free, it's the centre of the heel, so, and the proportions, the basics, yeah, you could trim more off this frog if you wanted, but not for the terrain I live and work in, and the way the ground's been. So now my favourite bit. I don't do much clenching because I don't even know which is the right rasp for doing it. Look at it. Hi there. He's just shortening the clenches. The little groover. If it was a size 4 below, I wouldn't use a groover, but because it's a 5, I can take a little groove. They should be nice and tight so you can't feel them. And then I use my finishing rasp now. But any of the pitch nail or the concave nail does give you a really good clench shape, which I really like. come round. The worst bit is James isn't only just better at filming than me, he's better at clenching as well. He would do a far better job of this, probably quicker. Again, little tap. I always try to work at the same sort of space. You know, work around the horses a bit quicker, it's good. Horses like it, but you have to get it done right. If you hit every element, then it's easy. Six. The interesting thing about horseshoeing is that I have a big practice. I do all different sorts of horses, and show jumpers like this one, and dressage, racers. But 90% of my horses are shod in conventional open heels, so just standard shoeing. And I think that as farriers we should look towards that. I don't think there's remedial shoeing. There's just correct shoeing. So you shoe the horse correct. If it needs more heel support and you have to put a bar shoe on, then that's correct for that horse, and so on. And like the old saying that the late Glenn Brook taught me, you're only as good as your worst job or your last job, so make every single one of them good, show a bit of pride in your work. So I hit that with the blue rasp and then simple with the pro finish. I can easily get a good finish on that then. And we'll have a little look round. I've shown you the basics underneath. You know, I think these two horses have been good because, like I said, I'd never previously shod them, didn't know the foot shape, but this was a really good one because this is probably one of the hardest shapes in the book, is the pear shape.